The Logic Exchange returns with a timely conversation on what it really takes to lead through constant disruption in the legal industry. In this episode, Inside the Business of Law, Leading Through Change, we're joined by special guest Hunter Skolnik. Hunter is a nationally recognized trial lawyer and leader in some of the most complex mass tort litigations in the country. As a driving force behind discovery and trial strategy at Napoli Shkolnik, Hunter has played key roles across major mass tort litigations, as well as court-appointed settlement counsel in the mass tort arena. His leadership extends to some of the most high-profile litigations in recent years, including the opioid crisis and talc-related claims, where he has served on critical settlement committees and helped shape outcomes at a national level. Beyond the courtroom, Hunter has been appointed to numerous plaintiff steering committees, chaired influential litigation groups, and remains deeply involved with organizations like the American Association for Justice, where he speaks on issues ranging from litigation strategy to legal ethics and professionalism. A founding board member of the Trial Lawyers of Puerto Rico and a frequent speaker at national conferences, Hunter brings a unique perspective on how law firms can navigate complex legal strategies, align those strategies, and lead effectively in high-stake environments. This episode dives into the realities of managing large-scale litigation, adapting to shifting legal landscapes, and what it means to lead when the stakes couldn't be higher. If you're focused on growth, resilience, and staying ahead in today's evolving legal market, this is a conversation worth your time. Let's jump in. Welcome, Hunter.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So before we jump into the questions, let's talk a little bit about Mass Torts Puerto Rico. We were all just there. Amazing conference. This was the fifth one, and
our fifth annual. Yep.
Yeah, and it started in New York, right? And then has shifted to down to San Juan.
Mass Torts Puerto Rico was a kind of a brainchild of a group of us who moved to Puerto Rico, and in 2020, when we realized we had a fairly good number of mass tort lawyers living in the community here, we realized we need a bar association, and we immediately set out to set up the Trial Lawyers of Puerto Rico as a nonprofit to help generate both money for local charities to support the law schools, as well as to help with education. And we realized we had the wherewithal to do it. We had the people, we had certainly the mindset. And then shortly after that, we said, let's do a convention. And that popped up the Mass Torts Puerto Rico yearly convention in May, which initially we thought, well, if we could get 50 or 100 people to sit around and talk about high level issues here, that would be great. To our surprise, the first year was maybe 175, 200 people. Now we're breaking 300, and we are generating so much money for the local charities. We've helped the Boys and Girls Club. We're now putting solar panels and roofs on an orphanage. We're doing a lot of real good with the help of trial lawyers and our sponsor, which I have to add as well, because they have been stepping up and helping us.
That's awesome. Yeah, as you know, we're one of the co-sponsors there.
Yes, you are. We greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's been an amazing conference for us over the years. You go to Mass Torts Made Perfect, which is great, but everybody gets to Vegas and they kind of scatter, right? Or you go to National Trial Lawyers down in Miami and everybody gets there and kind of scatters. And one of the things that I absolutely love about Mass Torts Puerto Rico and the show that's put on there is that everybody stays and they actually are involved with all of every bit of it, from the opening reception to the VIP events to the parties afterwards. You very rarely are like, well, where'd they go, right? Like everybody's actually there. That's really nice. As a vendor and as a sponsor, that really is a nice thing.
And let me state, I think what Mike Papantonio and that firm has done with Mass Tort Made Perfect set the path for the rest of us. I mean, that conference is the conference of conferences, and I'm always in awe on how they pull that off on such mega scale, having now done it at the micro scale. So I truly respect what they've done there and national trial lawyers in Miami. But what we set out here was for something that was going to be draw on those experiences, number one, and their successes. But and don't take this the wrong way, sometimes there's too many sponsors. There are too many vendor companies, and it's unfair to you as a sponsor or a vendor if there's 4, 5, 6, 7 of you of your specific business at the convention. And so not only are you contributing, but you're now having to fight for eyes or time to sit and talk to decision makers. And we chose a different path. And what we said was, we're not going to have like scores of vendors and sponsors. We're going to pick one sponsor for each important issue that the trial lawyers find important to discuss at these meetings. Make speaking slots available to those who support us, but more importantly, and I think you hit it on the head, that the people are there and you're getting to interact with decision makers. We're not flooding you with 20 paralegals or lower level lawyers, which we have, different level lawyers coming. But when you're looking to do business with a firm of our size or any of our colleagues who are here, you need to talk to us to make decisions on the big ticket items that we're going to engage in. And the goal of Mass Torts Puerto Rico was to effectuate that. So we didn't get bombarded with too many people trying to sell, because it's really legal education, what we're trying to do. But more also have people like yourself that has a product or a business that's we need in our field, and we could talk to you and spend time. So, it's a long-winded way of saying you basically saw exactly what we planned in launching this program. Small, unique, and face time for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been to 3 of these now, and it's quickly become one of my favorite conferences for all of the reasons that you just said. You go to these others, and again, hats off to Sharon who helps Pat put on MTMP. Her job is unbelievable, right? And she's actually on the board of the NLVA with me, the National Legal Vendors Association, and it's one of the things that we talked about, and how it is important, it's vitally important to get in front of the decision makers. And I think that is one of the things that Mass Torts Puerto Rico has really done an excellent job of. And I applaud you for that. I think this last time at NTMP, it was like my 27th one or something like that. And it's, I guess that just means that I'm getting a little more gray in my beard than I had when I started. But great show. But at the same time, there's 15, 20 of companies similar to Email Agency and Law Logic. And I love that it's an intimate show in Puerto Rico. The weather is typically fantastic in early May, and you can't really beat it. 10 minutes from the airport, 10 minutes out, like it's perfect.
Hey, though I do have to say it was an honor for me to speak at the opening session with Pap at Mass Torts Made Perfect this year, and it's a great conference. We all, all these conferences bring a different strength and. I look at Mass Torts Made Perfect as the revival. It gets people psyched, makes us realize we're doing this for good. We're doing this together. So, I mean, there's nothing like that. And, with every one of these have their own strengths. And I mean, also you have, Brian Ailstock and their firms, conventions down in Cabo and up in ski country. Again, these are great conferences that bring good people together, allows us to exchange ideas, and we're happy to be part of that now. One of our fears was that this was going to be just what's another trip, another convention?
Mhm.
And would it really catch on? Will people really say, well, we just were in Mass Torts Made Perfect 4 weeks ago, and we were in I forgot where they had, was it Montana or Wyoming, um, where they had the other Mass Tort conference. But we realized we found our spot, the right time, and good people, and we're getting the attendance, and we're getting the strong support from our sponsors. And it's amazing when people leave, they're not reaching out to people who are my assistants. They're reaching out to me. Like, we had a nice lunch, we had a drink. I know we didn't have enough time, but let's follow up. Let's get together. And
Absolutely.
I mean, since we've been back, we've already worked with two major vendors on issues that we didn't even know what they did, and how it fit perfectly into new AI management programs that we're developing, and they were right at our fingertips, and we met them at the convention. So
Yep. That's awesome.
it's great.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And actually, that's a great segue before we jump into kind of the first question. If people need to get in touch with you, best way for them to reach out is
Best way to reach out to me is by text, 917-544-0009, 917-544-0009. Text me anytime. Tell me, who you are. And if I'm not available to call right away, I'll let you know when I'm available.
awesome. Awesome. Well, Hunter,
Emails get lost.
yeah,
In this hour we're talking, I'll probably get 300. And I guarantee you, I only got a handful of texts, and I'll respond to those quicker.
perfect. Well, good to know. Noted for me as well. So cool. Well, let's jump right in because I want to be cognizant of your time. So you kind of hit it right on the head. This next one's all about kind of partner strategy evaluation and claimant origination. How do you vet and choose your marketing or intake partners?
It's interesting. This is a topic that this is to answer your question, I have to give kind of a story, but it's very topical. I mean, I look back at the TVM litigation and the nightmare we saw
Mhm.
with developing funnels for meeting clients and signing up clients. What initially was very straightforward, the way we always did it, run advertisement, just got kind of sideways. Saw, and everyone saw, just a influx of, I mean, fraudulent cases. I'm going to be very
Yep.
blunt.
Yep.
That's what it was. And lawyers, you know, getting, for lack of a better word, suckered in, and spending a lot of money with who they thought were reputable vendors, and turning out that they were doing things that, I mean, I'm shocked that, the way things were done, and how they acquired clients, and what they did to sign those retainers. And many people got burned, and we all said never again. Fast forward 10 years later,
Mhm.
Camp Lejeune, it hits the news wires. And what I thought was bad in TVM, um, I mean, I never in a million years thought I would see that again, and multiplied. So we just saw an influx of, and the problem is, the influx of so much money that came into the space too quick.
Yep.
And when people were coming to me saying, would you, and I still haven't answered your question, but I'm getting there.
Oh, you're okay. You're good.
I have people, excuse me, reaching out to me from marketing companies who I knew, who I was friendly with, saying, I know we're not doing business, but I have a law firm that has a whole bunch of money about to start advertising. Will you handle the cases for them on a co-counsel basis? And it's part of our business model. When we have a mass tort where we hit a certain level of cases that we have acquired ourselves or clients, we're more than happy to increase our docket with referral clients from other law firms. So this seemed like a perfect opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
law firm that doesn't want to litigate them themselves. They want to be a referring attorney. All we want to do is litigate. That's the way we make our money. That's the way we've come up. We're trial lawyers. So we're like, perfect opportunity. And next thing you know, I find out that someone funneled $10 million to this marketing company, and we're getting co-counsel cases as fast through our system as we could actually suck them in and process them. Then someone else comes to me with another marketing. I have someone with 5 million. And after a while, I started saying, wait a second, right? In 3 weeks, I've gotten $25 million worth of advertisement money, supposedly acquiring clients, signing up cases, and referring it to me. And I'm thinking, there's no way there could be this many cases, because I'm not the only one. I'm talking to my colleagues who are telling me that they're getting the same, the ones who are litigating, right? They're getting the same offers, and they're taking them. And sure enough, I was like, there's no way these cases can be good. But we accepted them. We did our job. We vetted them. And this scary part is the vendor was saying, well, 30 days, we'll replace it if it's a bad case. Well, when you get 1,000 new clients in a period of a week or two, it's impossible to vet those 1,000 cases in 30 days. So this was a promise to those law firms that laid the money out that was impossible to ever get the benefit of. And I mean, we work hard. We do it as aggressively as we can. But it took us 6 months and 7 months on some of these to get the records, to do the follow-up with these clients. And then we're finding out 75% are dropping off.
Yep.
I mean, so to answer your question, that was a wake-up call. And I looked at every docket we had. I had our IT department. We're super high tech. I had my IT people. We have statisticians. We have, we just grilled everybody internally and find like who are the vendors that have sent us these cases that are dropping off at 70, 65, 70, 78%. And we're not doing business. Again, we're just not doing it. And so now we're requiring a vendor that we talk to show us how they're going to get us those cases in that volume, and don't do the bait and switch and say 30 days replace, because we know you can't replace them. We can't do that in 30 days. No one can. Other than a quick TransUnion, which just says if it's a real telephone number and a potential real person. But that's not really vetting. So we've dropped vendors that we're not doing work with. And now we're looking at people and showing us, we want to see your statistics. I mean, 25% drop off is unfortunate, but it's reasonable. We get that. 78, that's borderline fraud.
Yeah, those numbers are flipped, right? Absolutely.
That's just, it's backwards. So if someone's saying to you, the cost of advertising is, I'll make it up, $4,000 a case. You lose 78%. That $4,000 marketing cost is really $16,000. The case is potentially settled at $50,000 to $70,000, $75,000. How does anyone make money on that case? How does the client get treated fairly in that real case? Impossible. So our job now is to just not sign up with any marketer who wants to do business with us. They've got to prove to us that we're not going down that same rabbit hole.
Absolutely. I answer to that. Oh, no problem. You literally echoed one of my one of the things that I talk about a lot, which is Camp Lejeune. There were more Camp Lejeune retainers signed up than people that went through Camp Lejeune. Period. And that's why
I can understand. You may have more people than were on that base.
Sure.
You're in the middle of nowhere there. You don't have that many people that are going to be exposed to that water and have these injuries. It's the cycle. We got hit with it again 10 years later, and
yep.
It's unfortunate.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I've kind of hung my hat on in my career. And it started, well, it started before this, but were you at the Mass Works Made Perfect where Michael Watts did his presentation on fraud?
No, I wasn't there, but Michael was my neighbor down here in Puerto
Yep,
Rico.
yep.
And he and I lived this together. And he and I would get up in while he was still here, our sunrise walks. And it would be 7 miles, 2 hours of talking. And believe me, he and I commiserated on this. And there was no better person to lay that out than Michael, because it's unfortunate how he was burned and many other people have been burned by this. And I saw his presentation before it was there, and I salute him for doing it. If he was more of a gentleman, I would have gotten up and named names and embarrassed people in the audience. But he was more.
And it's funny. So Michael and I have become pretty good friends over the years, and it really started with that. I was a fractional VP for a company called Blue Sky Legal out of Texas, and had been introduced to Michael, and actually helped him with a lot of that research for that presentation. That's where our friendship started. And leading up to it, he was like, "Nick, I'm naming names. I'm naming names," and I was like, "Listen, go ahead, you do it, man." But he did. He played it well. And I really think, and I look back on that, and I think that's where the catalyst for some of the change that we've really seen over the last couple of years. Is this a perfect industry? No, it's not. There's still issues.
It can't be perfect. Nothing's perfect.
No.
But we have to try hard.
Absolutely. I completely agree. So going on to the next question here, and I think that it plays in well. What separates a basic vendor relationship from a true strategic partnership in this space?
Well, especially in the marketing for, to reach out for new clients, it is a partnership. If we can trust you and you can trust us, if we're in like two different funnels, we're two different places. I'm just looking at anybody to get me anything, so I could say I have a lot of cases. And that just doesn't work. That's not what we look for. We are looking to retain clients. If someone ever says customer to me, if someone ever says lead, if someone says I got X number of, dockets and whatever they want to refer, I said, wait a second. I went to law school. I have clients. I represent clients. I don't represent leads, claimants. It's an offensive statement. And when my partner is looking at it, when I say partner, not my law partners, my marketing partner. Mm-hmm. If my marketing partner doesn't recognize that and treats this as, people that they're collecting off the dark web, who buy widgets and don't care, that's not my partner. I don't want it. If I hear those kind of terms, that's when I realize they're not in the same business I am, and they don't care, and they will scrape the bottom of that barrel for anything. And that's what we saw in Camp Lejeune. That's what we saw in TVM.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it's a systemic issue, and as long as people are at least attempting to do it the right way, they're being compliant, they're following the rules, and and setting proper expectations, I think that you can have really good relationships in this. But that it's all about setting that expectation and living up to it. I had a really good friend. I'm assuming you know him as well, Harlan. We had we were having a party at NTL, and it was actually at the exact same time as the Golden Gavel Awards. And I sent Harlan an invite. It was like, hey man, come have a drink, come have dinner, yada yada yada. And he was like, Nick, I'm deeply offended. And I was like, oh my gosh, we've been friends for 10, 15 years. Like, what did I do? I'm so sorry. And it was, we had scheduled a thing at the exact same time as the Golden Gavels, which is his big deal. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, long story short, to keep us on time, we were able to get it fixed. We moved everything, all was well. And he looked at me, and this is something that stuck with me. He's like, Nick, everybody makes mistakes. It is how you clean them up that matters. And that has stuck with me. And I tell that story all the time because nobody's perfect. It's impossible to be perfect, right? Um, but as long as you clean that up in a way that makes sense and puts your partner back to being whole, or whomever it is, right? I think that you're doing the right thing. So
Well said.
last, go ahead.
I think it's well said. He's absolutely right.
Yeah,
Everyone makes mistakes. It's how you deal with them.
absolutely. I completely agree. The last question in this section, and then we'll go into some lessons learned and ethical sourcing. What information should a firm always ask a marketing partner before working with them?
Where do you get your cases? Where do
Yeah.
you get your clients? Where are you marketing? And don't give me wishy-washy. Oh, we use we use search terms. No, where are you getting them? And you
Yep.
better be able to explain it to me
Yep.
because
I
I'm
agree.
not going down that path again and trusting. I can't.
I love that. And you know what? It's so much easier to just remember the truth, right? So if you just tell the truth on the front end, you don't have to remember what you said because it just is what it is. So I love that. So going into the next section, because I want to keep us on time, lessons learned in ethical sourcing. What are the biggest do's and don'ts that you've learned in your career along the way for procuring clients?
My biggest lesson I've learned, don't trust everybody who knocks on your door and says, I have a bunch of cases to send you.
Yep.
And we've all been down this path. We've all fallen for it. Sometimes we're just not paying attention and it's a name we know, so it's okay. That is the biggest hurdle not to go down that path because we got to stick to the standards. We've got to stick to, we've seen the transition. We've seen how things have gotten, how with AI and the web and the influx of money, how it's easy to drop your guard and be on the receiving end of some problems. I mean, going back to the example I gave before, I now have these law firms that paid that money coming to me and saying, wait a second, why did you drop 78% of my cases? I said, well, why did you go with a vendor who you didn't vet and you didn't give proper criteria? Because we don't need to have names in our inventory of clients. We need to have clients with cases. And if 78% of what you collected as a law firm is garbage, that's on you. It's not on me. Don't come back to me and say, why did you drop my cases? You should be asking me, why did I spend all that money? And how do I get it back from that vendor who overcharged me? That's the better question.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think I think it's a good way to look at it because at the end of the day, you want these to be as close to compensable as possible, right? As much
Like we said, not perfect. No
Yep.
one's saying you're gonna send over 100 clients and there's 100 good cases
Yep.
there. No, that's not possible. We'd love it, but we know that's not possible.
Absolutely.
We've been doing this. I'm doing this for 40 years. I know what's a reasonable drop-off rate from a advertising campaign. I know what's not. And 20s, yes. 70s, no.
Yep. Totally makes sense. Um, so everybody, well, not everybody, a lot of the folks that I work with, right, are always talking about scaling and how do we get the big docket, right? Like how do we get more people in there?
Mhm.
And I'm all for that, right? Like, but it's always a crawl, walk, run, right? I want to swing small and miss small, if especially at the beginning of a campaign. So how do you and your firm, how do you balance volume versus verification when you are scaling?
I'm lucky I have a partner who's in this field. He's been doing this for as long as I could remember. He's very organized. We've been in the front of the curve in the IT space, now into the AI space. Um, and we just have a massive operation of highly trained people. Like, we don't go outside for doctors and nurses. We have a team here that work full time, night and day. They're looking at these cases. We're using AI to look at records. We're using database access. When I say databases, whether it's, and I'm using TransUnion as a generic. We're using databases like that, and sometimes multiple databases like that to confirm, are these real people? That's one of the biggest. Can't believe there was so many make believe people. They weren't there.
Yeah.
So our teams are doing that even after the marketing company says they did something like that. We're doing it again, and we're trying to get those records through the various databases as quickly as possible, and we're dropping those cases. I mean, we're dropping those clients, I should say, as quickly as we can when we find out there's something wrong there. There's no proof of use. There's no proof of injury. There's no proof of person. Let's just start with that one. And that's the problem with scraping the web.
Yep, I agree, and that's one of the things that we do in our process. And if you let me wax poetic on that a little bit, we whenever we generate a lead on the front end, right, and they do start as leads, not what goes to you, but just as a person. We always want to know: are we talking to Jill? Is this actually Jill? Is this actually Joe? And so we run them through TLO to figure out who they are first, right? Is this actually the person that they're supposed to be? Mm-hmm. Take them through the criteria that was shared with us, making sure that it matches all of those things. And then we verify that, right? Through medical records. Was there the causation? Did you take the medicine? Were you given depot, right? Like, did you do that?
Did you live in that community?
Yeah,
where
exactly.
The contamination is.
Yep, exactly.
I think, TransUnion is going to tell you every place you lived, places you forgot about.
Yep.
I mean, so if it's a real person, number one, and it shows you lived in that community, and it says the time you were there, which we hate to do. Big Brother is watching. That stuff is out there.
Yep.
At least we know the person lived in the community, drank the water from their faucet in their house during the time frame. Things like that are important. In an environmental case, if you can't show the client was there at the exposed site, I mean, I don't know where you go.
Well, you really don't have anything at that point, mm-hmm. right? Like, it's, are they the person? Did they live there? Did they consume it? Mm-hmm. And then do they have the injury, right? All of that can be proven out with just a little bit of effort on the vendor's side before it gets to you. Yes, trust, but verify, right? Like, so they're going to get you that information, and then you're going to verify. But it's really easy if somebody's doing it the right way. Easy is not the right word. It can be easy if you know who it is, were they there, were they exposed, mm-hmm. and do they have the injury? From there, there's a myriad of reasons that a case can drop from there. But if you have that, at least a foundation, you're in a good spot to hopefully potentially move forward. So let's talk about defining success and real performance metrics. We've talked about how to verify and some of the questions to ask, but Hunter, when you and Paul and the team are looking at a campaign, how do you know if it's truly working? And what metrics differentiate real growth from just a quick temporary lift?
Well, we know we track our data. We have various data monitoring systems here. Best way for me to describe it. We know phone calls. We know what people are saying, what the responses are, what our lawyers and paralegals and doctors and nurses are doing and saying. Every week we are provided a insane amount of data points, and we have our data analysts that are working with that as well. So we're able to internally verify what we're getting now. Is it perfect? No. Is it getting better? It's getting better by leaps and bounds. And that's part of, and keep saying AI because everyone's talking
Mhm.
AI about everything, but AI is helpful in this area when it comes to data tracking, analysis, client verification. Um, and when we get these reports on a weekly basis, and you can ask anybody that works here, they're getting emails from Paul directly saying like, "What's going on? Why wasn't this phone call answered in 15 minutes? It says this has been an hour." It's like it's data to that minutia that we're following, and that then, um, that's the key component to determining whether or not the marketing program is working. And
Yep.
we,
And I agree with you on that too. And then what that also will help is it will help your marketing partner in that that's in theory and hopefully doesn't turn into a dual rep situation. If they do are going through and they get the signing done, send it over to you for verification and for secondary intake, and that gets sat on for 24 hours. And that's almost like burning whatever the cost of that
that's burnt.
client
I mean,
was.
that's burnt money. You hit it right on the head. If we can't show that that call wasn't to that client wasn't done in a timely fashion, and that's why those data funnels are so important. How quickly are those phone calls being returned? Who is returning them? If there's a missed call, when is the next follow-up? When I say missed call, if the person's not there when we call them back,
Yep.
there's data tracking. When did you call them back? When did you send them a message to say, this is us, we got your information, we called you back, we missed you, when can we set a call? That likewise is being tracked, every bit of that.
That's awesome. And I love that because as a partner on the other side of that, I don't have insight into what happens after I make the handoff, right?
Mhm.
And getting that information back is vital to either A, keeping it running and running really well, or B, let's pivot. Like we need to make a change, right? But
Mhm.
not having that feedback loop, it can be a campaign killer. So I truly appreciate that side of it. Um, how do you evaluate ROI beyond just the simple cost per side retainer?
Oh, yeah. I'm a trial lawyer. I'm not the guy who does that analysis, but as I said, like everything that we do is tracked.
Yep.
Not by me. There are people a lot smarter than me, that do that here in the firm under the supervision of Paul, my partner. Um, he knows he is Big Brother. I mean, he's tracking this. He's the first one to say, "Why are you wasting our money?" And that's how a firm stays alive. Um, Trial lawyers are our worst enemy. We're great at what we do, but we suck at business sometimes. Man, I'm sorry
No,
for
you're fine. You're fine.
getting it down to the bottom. If you left it to me, I'd be out there trying the case, and like the saying, Nero is fiddling while Rome burns. I'd be out there killing that one, dragon in that one case while everything in the back is crumbling. But for the fact that we have people like my partners and CFOs,
Mhm.
chief information officers. I mean, the number of people we have keeping track of this is I never in my career thought I would ever need this type of system behind us. But firms like ours and many of our friends, the Levin Paps, the Motley Rices, the Geller Rudman, the Simmons Handley, you can go on and on. Leaf Cabraser, we're managing these major firms, big cases, and we have a lot of great lawyers, but we also have to have a lot of good business, information technology people, finance people, because without them, um, these things would come crumbling down. They wouldn't grow, and we're all growing, and there's a reason for it.
Absolutely. And your team in particular has been incredibly impressive to me. Our meeting that we had in Puerto Rico, and it was kind of everybody was there. I appreciated that because some of the questions that Paul was asking are different than the questions that you were asking, which are different than the questions that Maria was asking and Amin. And so I love that because it takes a village. I truly believe that. Everybody kind of stays in their lane, right, with the overall goal, but everyone's working towards that goal and has and understands their piece of it. And so I appreciate that because maybe some of the questions that you don't ask, maybe Paul asks, and maybe some of the questions that neither one of you ask, Maria's asking. And I think that that's very wise and smart. And what it doesn't create is a game of telephone, which I love, right? Let's answer all the questions and move forward in an efficient way. So I truly appreciate that. So last question on this, and I know you said that you're on the litigating side, but throw it up to you. What's one underrated KPI more firms should track?
Oof. I think the drop-off rate is the number one data point from my perspective, because a law firm will go broke very quickly. I use that example of outside law firms. I don't know where they got their money. I don't look at other people's pocketbook. But if I was that firm and I used my own 10 million or someone else's 10 million that I owe interest on or whatever, I don't know how they get their money. But if you're not tracking, like, it's great. Maybe they should have put out 1 million, see how that worked, give it 4 months, 5 months, then issue the next payment. But they just went all in, and the cases came fast and furious. And 6 months later, find out that they were not cases, they were not clients. That is the number one KPI. Otherwise, firms will go bankrupt, no doubt about it. And if it's hedge funds lending money, their hedge funds are going to go bankrupt. We're not here to talk about whether it's good or bad to have hedge funds, but reality is a lot of that money came from hedge funds, whether directly to a lawyer or law firm or as partners with them. And if they're not keeping track of that keep KPI, that one, you're going under.
Yeah,
I agree. Mine come along and we have to bail them out, because that's what we're seeing today. We're getting contacted by funds who are freaking out that their partners don't have the wherewithal to continue on because they were so overextended.
And it makes sense. They need to stick, right? Like at the end of the day, if you can't buy a case, right? You can't sell a case. But if you have a signed retainer packet that comes in, that the drop off rate to your example is 78%, that's a non-starter, that's a non-winner, it's just not going to work. Mm-hmm. But with that feedback loop, with that contact rate, with the compensability, all those things put into the equation, and you come back and you're at 78% viability rate, well, then you're sitting in a decent spot, right?
You can litigate that case for that client or those group of clients for the next 3-4 years, and ultimately you're going to do well. When you flip that metric, and it's only 25% of those cases in the future, everyone's losing money.
Yep, I agree.
And we can't stay in business losing money. Yes, we are a profession, but we're also a big business. I look at firms like ours and our friends, the big firms. We're bigger than many mid-cap market businesses. I became a lawyer thinking I'm going to work with one guy, one partner, and we're going to hustle through our existence and retire. And now we're running companies that are, I'm saying they're mid-cap market businesses or high cap.
Which is hats off to you and Paul, because what you guys have built is incredibly, incredibly impressive, and that's not lip service; it's just a fact. So, hats off to you too. Let's shifting in. We have a couple more sections. Innovation, automation, and evolution. We talked a little bit about AI. It's been on the tip of everybody's tongue for the last 24, 36 months. What marketing innovation or channel are you watching closely in 2026?
Well, number one, we're looking at AI from a different perspective than the marketing company.
Mhm.
We're looking at it as streamlining processes in-house, helping us more quickly contact that client, follow up with that client, get their records, process it, spit out a report of, is it a real person? Did they have exposure? Did they have an injury? When was that? How long ago was it? Things like that. We're using the AI application to systems already in place and new ones we're developing so that we make sure that process is done. And clients aren't given false beliefs that they have a real case when they don't. And that's important to us.
That's awesome. 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 Um, do you see the industry shifting from speed first? Because that's what it was for the longest time. How quickly can we do this? Here's a hundred retainer order. How quickly can you fill that? Right? Like you got those questions forever and ever. Do you see the industry shifting from that mentality to more of a compliance first when scaling campaigns, or is speed still king?
It's funny, that's actually an issue we're dealing with right now because I get frustrated with I want speed, and then I get frustrated when I'm getting inappropriate response. Let's leave it at that. These clients aren't panning out. So we're always going to want speed. The question is, can speed also work with quality? And we're going to have to find the happy medium there. But yes, speed is always important. I want to have that 1,000 cases before my competitor. So it is speed. On the other hand, speed does not win. Speed can ruin us if it's not done with quality. And it's kind of like that. It's the give and take, there. We have to go as fast as we can, but have the quality that we expect.
Awesome. And you know what? I love that. And because I do think that it's important, right? Because if you put in an order for whatever it is, how it doesn't even matter, right? And that takes 6 months and your competitor got it done in 30 days, 60 days, then it doesn't matter when it gets filled. You're kind of sitting behind, right? But at the same time, if that gets filled in 2 days and you lost 80% of it out of the back end, then it doesn't really matter, right? So it's the game that is consistently played between vendor law firm relationship and one that I think that needs to be done in a very professional way. I would much rather say to you, Hunter, I can do this, but it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks, not 2 to 3 months, 2 to 3 weeks, whatever it might be, and hit that for you. So that okay, Nick's not full of shit. He's telling me the truth, right? And but I'm also but I'm also not setting an improper expectation, right? It's a can they do this? Can they do it compliantly? And is it fast enough for me? Because if it's fast enough for you and it's compliant, then we did it in a good way. But if you take one of those and you dial them up, then it can become a problem.
It's a win-win if you hit those points altogether.
Yep.
Speed without quality is useless. I'm not coming back. I'm not going to go back to you. I mean, I'd rather have you tell me, Hunter, you're crazy. This is not going to happen. I'm not getting you the kind of marketing return in the speed that you're suggesting. I can do it, but you're not going to like what you get. And we need to be told the honest answer. Someone saying, don't worry, we got it, and they don't, is the worst thing for us. We just don't need to go down that route. We're just not there. And we'd be remiss in not mentioning there are law firms today that are upside down from doing that. They've been unfortunately, going down the route of sign up as many as we can, borrow money, worry about it later. I'm not in that business, but there are firms that don't care what's being generated. Let them go to those vendors who will give them 1,000 quote clients, which are basically names and packets that they'll never even work up, and watch their firm, teeter on the edge every time they realize, uh-oh, my loan's due, or
Yep.
I'm not getting paid. And we're lucky we're not there. We're not in that type of a practice. So that's why we'll take our time, spend the money where it's appropriate, work with a vendor who are a marketing company who will take the same approach as we have, focus on quality, not quantity.
Yep, absolutely. I love that. I love that. So two more sections in here, and I'll keep it in this next section. Just kind of keep it to probably one question because I do think that it's an important one to ask. The future of legal marketing and client acquisition. What does the future of mass tort client acquisition look like to you?
Well, if anyone didn't say AI, they'd be crazy. I mean, I'm sure you guys are all over that.
Yeah.
Uh, for the good, for good and for bad. I mean, unfortunately, there are the players who will find a way of using it to get the lowest common denominator. And then there's the firms that are going to use it for the good and really try to make sure who they're contacting, who they're um, signing up for us are real, and they're real cases, they're real people. And we're not going to be talking to them, in a Michael Watts presentation of mass torts being perfect in a year from now or 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely don't want your logo up on that PowerPoint.
Oh, no.
No, absolutely. So, all right, Hunter, let's get into this last section, and then I've got just a couple of other questions afterwards. This is about leadership, culture, and philosophy. And number one, I truly appreciate you spending some time today. This has been very, very insightful. What is the hardest part of leading a legal team in today's legal environment for you and your team?
Oh, the hardest part. Well, when you have 400 employees, that is no easy part.
I'm sure.
I mean, in terms of leading a team, I mean, in your law firm, you have to have the business side and the lawyer side. We're lucky. I have a partner and partners that if we understand business and law, you have to do both. We have to have really highly qualified, highly trained professionals supporting us. And when I say CFOs, I mean 2 CFOs, COOs, chief marketing officers, chief information officers. I mean, it's remarkable. I never in a million years thought I'd be running a law firm with corporate structure. But it is what is necessary if you're in this field and you plan on doing this for the long haul. We want this firm to grow, and we have great younger partners, which are the future. And that's the key, bring the best up, have them learn from what we do, and, rely on the professionals that we've hired, both internal and outside, to make sure we're doing things right. And the other most important thing, don't hold back reaching out to ethics counsel. Many of us, I speak to some colleagues, they're like, yeah, we never deal with ethics counsels. And I'm like, from our standpoint, we don't do things without getting approval from ethics counsel. And that's something I think is a very important, and law firms should understand that, in the way things are moving so quick today, before you just embark on something that's new and different, it may be perfectly fine, but, spend a few bucks, get a highly qualified ethics counsel, and get their input. And to me, that's one of the most important things we do.
I think that's very wise. Very, very wise. How do you foster a culture that values both growth and integrity when dealing with, as you said, 300 to 400 employees?
I think it's important to make employees benefit from their work.
Mhm.
Uh, Younger lawyers, young partners, give them and you incentivize them to succeed. And I came up in a world of you. I ate what I killed. Or I killed. Yeah, I ate what I killed, basically, and that was my training ground. If I didn't earn, my salary was not really that good.
Mhm.
Um, and I think incentivizing lawyers to do that, incentivizing non-lawyers, and I don't mean sharing fees with non-lawyers. I'm talking about, you could bonus people. You can make sure that people who are on the phone, are call people, are phone people that, when they get good results, you take care of them. You do the right thing. I think you incentivize everybody. It makes the firm grow better.
Awesome. I love that. And I agree, right? It's one of those things when the tides rise, all ships rise, right? And
Exactly.
so
That's
I
exactly
think
it.
that I think it makes a lot of sense. And that's kind of the way that I try to run or help run our business, right? Like if you just do the right thing and you don't ever have to remember what you said because it just is what it is. And if you do it compliantly and ethically, you're going to have partnerships in this industry. And I think that is all about having all ships rise. So last question, as far as the official podcast go, and then I've got a personal one for you. What is one piece of it? And this is actually one of my favorites because everybody's answer is always different. But what's one piece of advice you'd give to firms trying to modernize their marketing and intake operations today?
Number one, um, don't go cheap on information technology. Make sure you have some, whether it's internal or outside. I mean,
Yep.
smaller firms are not going to do what we did. They're not going to have CFOs, COOs.
Mhm.
But there was a period and we were in transition. There's fractional COOs, CFOs, CIOs, CMOs, where you can, limit your costs, but you bring them in and they look at your operation. We are businesses, plain and simple. We have professional responsibility to our clients, but we are also businesses. It's worth the money to get even a fractional COO or CFO to look to see if we're doing the right thing. I mean, I know smaller firms. Like my daughter has a bookkeeping company that she is now working for law firms all over the place, all over the country, because they can't afford to have full-time CFO or full-time bookkeeping. And she does their IOLTA, their trust accounts. It's worth the money to bring someone in to do it
Mhm.
right. If you're bumbling through it, it's gonna come back to bite you. So, I mean, I see what she's doing. Like she has some of these smaller law firms that can't afford to have that finance person in there, and she's doing it outside. And when she's talking to them, like, well, why don't you talk to my dad? He's been through there. He can give you some pointers. I just once a week or once every other week, one of her clients or prospective clients calls me up and says, like, how'd you guys do this? What did you? And I'm lucky I've gotten to the point, and yeah, we're busy as hell, but I like the idea of taking time to talk to younger lawyers and firms that are not as advanced as ours to help give them as much guidance as I can give them. Let's face it, we're not perfect. A lot of people would say we're far from it. But, if I can give that education or that help to other lawyers, I feel that's the best thing to do. But my number one thing is don't hold back, get the professionals to help you do it right. And then you'll grow with that.
I love that. I think that that's it. I think that that's very wise. It's funny, and you hit it on the head a little bit earlier. Is that some lawyers should just lawyer, right? Not run the business, right? And not all, right? But I think that that's kind of a widely accepted take. But I think that it takes a certain level of maturity, respect, and just actually like the stones to do it, to release that control and realize, there's somebody else that might be able to do this one piece a little bit better, and let's lean into that. So I love that. Well, Hunter, those are the questions that I had for the podcast, and I've got a couple of personal ones. I see the Grateful Dead logo above your head. How many shows?
Grateful Dead. Wow. Probably one of the Dead itself, 20, 25 shows easily.
Dead and Company.
Uh, 15 or 20.
Okay. What about Fish?
Did the last shows at the Sphere.
Did you? Okay. Awesome. What about Fish? Do you enjoy Fish?
I'm not a Fish guy. I liked them when they were a Dead cover band.
Yeah.
That's long ago. But then when they became Fish, not so much. Though one of my neighbors upstairs, actually a couple of my neighbors, they brought in, is it Ed Anastasio? I think it's
Trey Anastasio. Yeah.
They brought him here to our community, like 100 of us, sitting on the beach with him, playing guitar, singing. That was one of the coolest things. Whether I'm a Fish head or not, he was excellent. Really,
that's awesome. Awesome. One of my really good friends, Keith Rosen, is a huge Fish fan. In fact, just went out to Vegas to go to the Sphere.
I would have invited one of my neighbors. The last series of Dead and Company shows, one of my neighbors got. I don't know if they play Thursday, Friday. I think it's 3 nights. He got, the weekend box, and so we did Dead and Company, and then he just did the Fish shows and wanted us to go, but I was traveling for work, so I was actually going to do the Fish Sphere shows as well.
I was asked to go at this last Mass Torts Made Perfect, and it was just, those days are so long that by the time that the concert came around, I was like, you know what, I want to, but I also just want to go to bed. And I bed one this time, but I would love to go see that. Well, Hunter, thank you so much.
One last,
sure.
They used to be, or there still is, Madison Square Garden has a do not fly list, so to speak. So if you've been in litigation with Madison Square Garden, they have facial recognition, and you try to use your ticket. They stop you, call the police, escort you out of the Madison Square Garden. It was to the point where, and they have every lawyer from your law firm in their systems. So my daughter, who's a lawyer with us, was taking my grandson to see Paw Patrol at Madison Square Garden. Next thing you know, police and security converge on her, like take her out with a 3-year-old kid, with her. She's mortified, not knowing that she's on the Madison Square Garden do not fly list. So we realized this was a real problem. Don't go to any garden shows. Don't go to the Sphere because it's owned by the garden. And we were out of Mass Torts Made Perfect when YouTube was.
That was the first one. They were the first ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And someone, I forgot who it was, they had these, tickets, because then it was the new thing, and the tickets would go for insane prices. And they gave me a ticket. I'm saying, look, take your ticket back. I can't go because they're going to catch me. And then one of our friends, will go nameless here, was also on the no-fly list for Madison Square Garden. He showed up at the bar at the it was not the Wynn, it's where the October one is.
At the
Bellagio.
Yep.
He comes walking up, and he looks like Dee Snider from Twisted Sister. Fake wig, little dark glasses. I mean, it was hilarious. And he goes, I'm going. And I'm like, good luck. You go. I'm not going. He actually slipped in and saw it.
That's awesome.
And I love that. I refused to be embarrassed and kicked out.
Sure, fair enough. That's amazing. So at this point, still no fly zone. You can't go.
No, I'm allowed in.
You're allowed in now.
Our last case against them, and we have official letters that say we're allowed to enter, except for one of my partners, Joe Napoli, Paul Napoli's dad, who's 85 years old, who led the litigation against them. One of the big cases we had. And they hate him so much, they made an exception. They said, everybody else can come except Joe Napoli.
Everybody but you. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Well, everybody, if you're still listening, Hunter, thank you. You can get in touch with Hunter at nsprlaw.com or 917-544-0009. Hunter, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Everybody out there, this is going to be on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, as well as Spotify. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. We'll be bringing more and more of this content. But again, Hunter, thank you for being a guest on the Logic Exchange, and truly appreciate
you so much for having me and letting me talk about things I never want to think about.
Fair enough.
You got to the Grateful Dead and the Dead and Company show.
Well, you know what? I should have just led with that, right? We could have just talked music the whole time. Well, again, sir, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and then I will tag you when all these come out, and everyone hopefully can gain a couple of nuggets of wisdom from this.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.